Hello, and welcome to this INVALSI teacher training video. The objective of this video is to help develop students' language competence in reading through the use of authentic texts with practical classroom ideas and integrated skills activities. At the end of the video, we will show you an example of an authentic INVALSI reading task using the same written text. What makes a text an A2 text? In order to identify the features of texts representative of each level, it's worth referring back to the CEFR descriptors to highlight keywords which will help us select suitable texts consistent with the target level. The Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, or CEFR, is an international standard to describe competence in a foreign language. It was developed by the Council of Europe and is structured on a progressive scale, A, B and C, further developed into substages from A1, beginner, to C2, proficient user. An A2 language user can understand short, simple texts containing the highest frequency vocabulary, including a proportion of shared international vocabulary items. So how do we select an A2 text? Students who have reached A2 can process short texts. The topic should be concrete and familiar to the reader. Sentence structure should be relatively simple and vocabulary should include frequent words, although some expressions might be a little beyond the learner's active vocabulary, provided they can be deduced from the context. In real life, we read for various reasons, and we use different reading styles according to our reading purpose. For example, quick selective reading. When we need to pick out specific information or important details, or if we want to get the gist of a text, we apply a quick and selective reading style. On the other hand, careful reading is when we need to understand the main ideas of a text and to infer the writer's opinion. In this case, we read more slowly and more carefully. We're now going to analyze a text about some restaurants in London. The features of the text focus on selective reading as reading behavior, or in other words, skimming in order to understand the gist, or namely the essence, the core of each short text. This text may be related to this analytical CEFR descriptor. Can understand texts describing people, places, everyday life and culture, provided that they are written in simple language. In order to activate the students' expectations about the topic of the reading passage, we're going to set up a pre-reading speaking activity. In pairs, students ask and answer the following questions. What's your favorite food? What's your favorite meal of the day? Do you like eating at restaurants? How often do you have lunch or dinner in a restaurant? What's your favorite restaurant? Have you ever eaten in a Chinese, Japanese, Greek or Indian restaurant? Did you like the food? What are the best restaurants in your city? Now divide the students into small groups and give each group a copy of this mind map. The students complete the map by writing in the spaces provided. They now invent an eating place and write the nationality, Italian, Chinese, Greek, the place, a pub, a cafe, a pizzeria, the food and drink, pizza, sushi, lemonade or Coke, the meals, breakfast, lunch or dinner, other, music, takeaway, elegant, casual, possible name chosen by the group. When the students have finished, they report back to the class on their restaurant. The other students can add more items. It's now time to read the text and do the while reading activity. You can now pause the video and use the links below to download the text and the activity instructions. So now we're going to ask students to read the short texts and underline the key words that make up the gist of each one. Then we divide the students into small groups and ask them to read the texts and then fill in this table where they have to match each sentence with the right restaurant. Although standardized tests focus on receptive skills, listening and reading, it's recommended to practice all 4 language skills in the classroom. Authentic reading texts lend themselves perfectly to integrating skills. The integrated skill activities we suggest now are still related to the topic of the reading text and introduce some speaking activities. As a follow-up activity, we suggest a speaking activity connected to the topic of the text. First, provide students with vocabulary necessary to read a menu and some useful expressions for ordering food, such as "I'd like," or "Can I have?" or "What would you like?" Then divide the students into pairs. Prepare several pieces of paper with some problems you might have in a restaurant. For example, you get the wrong food. Your glass is not clean. Your food is cold. Give each pair of students a menu and at least 2 complaints. In turns, each student plays the waiter or waitress and the customer, and they have to act out dialogues ordering food and complaining about the problems they've been assigned. This is a creative, integrated skills speaking activity called Improbable Food. First, elicit the 2 structures "Do you like?" and "Would you like?" with the question, "Do you like chicken?" "Yes, I do." And "Would you like some chicken now?" "Probably, no thanks." Then elicit examples for other food types. Now put the students into pairs and tell them to invent new, improbable food combinations around the words that you give them. For example, write "pizza" on the board and elicit disgusting food combinations. For example, pineapple, onion, and sheep's brain pizza. Use categories like a pasta dish, chicken with, a fish dish, a dessert, a pizza, a sandwich, a chewing gum flavor, a crisp flavor. When the students have invented their improbable food, tell them to mingle and ask each other the 2 questions. For example, "Do you like pizza?" "Yes, I do." "Would you like a pineapple, onion and sheep's brain pizza?" "No, thanks." At the end of the activity, feedback from the class on the most disgusting food they were offered. The text "Eating in London" was used for a reading comprehension task. INVALSI chooses authentic texts as stimulus for reading comprehension activities. The testing method which was used in this task is multiple matching, which encourages the students to identify the gist in each text and match the sentences in the task with the texts. The multiple matching method consists in a series of headings or of statements based on a series of short texts which the students have to match with the related texts. Among the options, there are always one or two distractors, texts or headings which students must not choose. It implies an ability to read selectively to identify the global meaning of short texts. It's time to do the task. You can pause the video, download the text, the task, and the answer keys by clicking on the links below. That's the end of this INVALSI teacher training video. We hope it's been useful for you. Now, try the activities in class.